Alright guys, so I'm working on a new concept for either a comic or web comic. It's called The Kaiju Kid, and it's basically about this kid that learns that he can control giant monsters and he's using them to liberate the earth. Great idea. I just need to work it all the way out. And what I mean by work it all the way out, that means I got to develop the character. But one of the things that I've discovered about my creative process, which kind of contradicts some advice I used to give back in the day, is that I don't do a 1-2-1-2 process anymore, or I've never really did it. I normally am kind of thinking and creating at the same time. And basically what I would like to call that is organized chaos. But it's a good organized chaos. So we're going to talk about the organized chaos process and how it helps me create, I think, the best characters ever, for me anyway. Let's get into the video. What's up, fam? So when I'm actually designing or coming up with new characters for whatever worlds that I'm creating, it's kind of a chaotic process when you actually think about it, because I know a long time ago you used to say, hey, you should write everything down, and you should, but human beings aren't like that. We don't just, it's 1, 2, 3 character, 1, 2, 3 story. It's not like that. It's sometimes it's a little bit more chaotic. And honestly, what I've learned and what I've kind of retooled my thinking is that actions sometimes speak louder than words. Sometimes if you come up with an idea, just start drawing. It doesn't matter if you don't have it fully fleshed out. I think sometimes we get caught in analysis paralysis, which means that we are over analyzing and overthinking everything creatively instead of creating. And that's our job, as we're supposed to be creators. And when you just start drawing and you just start coming up and riffing and coming up with ideas, actually that kind of helps you solidify some of those ideas that you had, and it also may even determine the things like story direction, everything. The whole overall story arc may change because of the drawings that you're making. It's kind of like going back to being our 5-year-old selves when we would just draw with no idea what we're drawing. I'm just drawing. I'm drawing well, it's going to be a stegosaurus now. You know, you would just start drawing. And it's kind of that idea. And I think it's that chaotic thinking, in a sense, that kind of brings us into a funnel of organization, because from that chaos you start whittling away the things you don't like and the things that you do like. Like for instance, in my new series that I'm working on, the Kaiju King, I have a 15-year-old character named Sebastian. Now Sebastian is 15 years old. He's fairly athletic, you know, sort of lanky-ish, standard 15-year-old kid. Earlier this week, I took my first stab at drawing the character, and when I look back at it, one of the mistakes that I made was I made him too young, and I made him a little too lanky, and he just was not coming across like a 15-year-old teenager. But had I not even started the drawing, I still would have just been sitting there in my mind like, okay, I want him to look like this and I want him to look like this. That's not the best way to pursue creation, in my opinion. Sometimes you just gotta get it down on paper, then you gotta look at it and tear it apart and look for the things. Like some of the things that I noticed was his face. Face was a little too round, eyes were a little too big, nose was pretty good, but it was still youngish looking for you know, it looked like a young kid. So he looked more like he was about 12 or maybe 10 or 12. Between 10 and 12, as opposed to the 15-year-old kid that I would want him to be. And then I kind of started recognizing those mistakes, so I started to correct them in my next stab at the character. Some other things that I noticed: the clothing design. I put up on IG the first drawing, and I just asked people, hey, what do you think, and what do you have any suggestions about? And I didn't get too many suggestions or anything. People just thought, hey, it looks good. But I really didn't think that the drawing, I thought the drawing looked good, but I don't think the drawing really answered the questions that I needed answered. And I don't think some of the people, you know, took it in and they just saw a drawing instead of, well, maybe you could fix this, maybe you could fix that. And it's partly because my caption just said, hey, what do you think, instead of, this kid's supposed to be 15. So user error on that one. But one of my young fans came in and said, hey, throw a backpack on him. I was like, okay, well, that's a good idea. So what I did is I kind of got caught up doing other work, but when I got back to the character, I just started drawing him, and I just remember thinking about it. Okay, if he's fairly athletic and he's 15 years old, what are some of the things that should really stand out about this kid? And then as I kind of started thinking and drawing at the same time, those thoughts really started to come across. Here's some of the things that I thought about. I thought about, look, his head should be a little bit rounder, but it should also kind of look like it's more shaping into a man's face. You know, when you go from 12 to 15 and from 15 to 20, you start kind of getting your man features. I guess that's the best way to put it. So I kind of wanted to show that he was in the in-between stage of his development. His hair, while in the original drawing, his hair was kind of flowing and I kind of liked it. I thought, maybe if I put a little bit more control on it, but added the curl aspect to it, I think that would be really dope. So I went for a little bit different design, and I kind of gave him a kind of a wide eraser type box, but it's kind of leaning towards the back a little bit, which was kind of interesting. And then I kind of gave him those Huey Freeman curls. But the biggest change, I think, was I toned down his eyes, made them a little bit more like they're going into his adult stage, so getting out of the wide-eyed kid into the more adult type eye structure. But I think even bigger than that, I really nailed his body type this time. Once again, we're dealing with a character that's like a tween. So and what I mean by tween, it's like he's in between. You know, in your teenage years, that's when you're coming into your full-grown man body. But you could catch his growth spurt at 15, you could catch a growth spurt at 16 to 17, 18, heck, sometimes 19. And it also depends on, like, what are you doing athletically, if you're working out. All of those factors factor into kind of how your body develops. And that's a very, so kind of that 14 to 15 age group, 15 to 16, 14 to 16, that's really when your body kind of develops. So what I wanted was a kind of a kid that had some muscle structure. At the same time, he wasn't fully like formed out. The other thing that I wanted a kid that he was, you know, he was kind of lankyish, so he still had a little bit of awkwardness to him. And I also wanted to make sure that you see that he was still kind of under development. So it was funny, like, you spending a lot of time watching YouTube. I was rewinding and watching old film of like LeBron James when he was a high school All-American, and I noticed those kids, they were athletically built, but you know, you could really see the Adam's apple, and you could really see kind of how the muscles were really lean. They were really lean because, you know, they're burning energy all the time. So those were some things that I really wanted to get across, kind of that built, muscular, but sort of is youngish and lean. It's not developed like he's been pumping weights and he can really get the nice fully formed bicep. He's got, you know, a decent bicep, not a fully formed bicep. So besides getting his body straight, I also really worked on making sure that his clothes were right. In the first drawing, I really, let's just say it, I don't think I hit the mark on the clothes at all. I mean, he had on a t-shirt, some tapered jeans, and some tennis shoes. Whoop-de-doo. Nothing special there. So I was really thinking about what he would be wearing as a teenager who's growing up on a Caribbean island. So one, a little bit more temperate. So I was like, let's toss the jeans. We want to give him shorts. I thought that was a cool idea. And then the shirt, instead of doing just a regular t-shirt, I kind of did the collar, the t-shirt that actually buttons, I guess, I don't know what you call it, the crew neck collar. And I thought that was cool. And I took away the tennis shoes and gave him sandals instead, which I thought would be a cool callback to his Caribbean lifestyle. And then also gave him a backpack, because I don't know, a backpack is going to come into play further on in the series anyway. So I was like, that's a good idea. And then just other things I did was just the little rubber bands on the arms, but I might take those off because I don't think that's even popular anymore. I don't think that's something the kids are doing right now. All in all, those were kind of my thought processes moving forward in what I was doing with this particular character, Sebastian. And at the end of the day, I really think that he came out exactly the way I wanted him to. I'm really happy with this new design and Sebastian's new look, and I think that this was really, this was really what he was meant to be. So once again, guys, when you're actually creating characters, we're going to talk about this more, especially when we get into developing the villains for this series. When you are developing characters, don't think about it so much. Get a pencil in your hand, get some paper out, start drawing, and then think it out while you're drawing. Thoughts and action kind of working together to kind of flesh out what you're doing. I think that's honestly ultimately the best way to go, and I think that's what's going to help a lot of you young creators really get to creating the characters that you want, because as you're drawing, you're going to start identifying and then addressing specific needs and issues that you're going to have, because you're thinking about the story, thinking about look, thinking about everything, and then it's all in the flow of you creating. And that's what we want. We want you to create and think at the same time, not think then create. It's kind of got to work all the same, and that, my friends, is a little chaotic. Once you whittle it down, it becomes less chaotic and a lot more focused, and that's exactly what you want. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button and go ahead and share this all over the internet. Now if you're new here, hey, what's up? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Now also, we haven't talked about this in a while, but I need everybody to hit that bell icon. That lets you know when I post up a new video, and since we've gone to this 5-day-a-week type deal, you know, you might need that, because YouTube algorithm, it's not our friend. So since YouTube algorithm is not our friend, hit that bell icon. That'll let you know when I post up a new video, and hopefully, you know, that'll get your attention. Also, if you guys want to get in touch with me, you can hit me up at Instagram and Twitter at DKG72. I almost said DKG22, but I'm not going to do that. At DKG72, Instagram and Twitter. Hit my Facebook fan page and my TikTok up. That's David Gordon 72. And if you guys really like the content that I'm creating, I'm asking you guys, as I always do, go ahead over to Patreon and hit the Patreon up. David Gordon 72 makes comics. I'm gonna start linking that below, so hopefully we can get people going over there, because Patreon, it does help. All right, guys. That's the video for today. We're going to be back next Friday. This is a Friday video. Filming on Thursday. This is a Friday video. So we'll be back next Friday, and I'll be showing you guys how I develop villains and kind of my thought process. We already know I'm going to be acting and thinking at the same time, but what am I thinking? Yeah, I thought so. Alright guys, it's your boy DKG72. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.